Today is the day Raiders camp gets underway in the Mojave Desert. Intermountain Health Performance Center, rookies only. Then 5 days later, the veterans walk in behind them on the 28th. And let me tell you, that gap is bigger than it looks on the calendar, folks. 5 days where Coach Klint Kubiak gets a clean look at what he actually has. Before Kirk Cousins, before Maxx Crosby, before the whole veteran roster starts soaking up practice reps in the Las Vegas sun. So today, I'm going to give you 3 names, not verdicts today, not predictions, 3 guys I'd have on my camp watch list starting today. Who are they? You know some of these guys. Fernando Mendoza, Treydan Stukes, and Mike Washington Jr. The first rookie to watch, you know who. Let's start with Fernando Mendoza because everybody else already has, right? By the way, you're back. Silver and Black today. Scott Branson, your host. We are a Believe podcast. Make sure you subscribe wherever you get your audio. And don't forget to put on the auto download so you always get the show when it's new. And if you're watching us on YouTube or wherever you're watching us, make sure you subscribe there. Appreciate that. Do me a big favor. Subscribe there. Also, give us a thumbs up. And don't forget, most important thing of all, hit that notifications bell because guess what? Every time we have a new show, every time we go live, we'll start going live during the season. You will get a notification that we're there and that we got something new. So do that for us on YouTube. Don't forget to follow us on all the socials at SNB Today on X. I am at LV Gully on X. And you can find the show in every platform, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you want to find us. Just look for Silver and Black Today, right? All right. So we talked about Fernando Mendoza. Of course, Fernando Mendoza, the number 1 overall pick, Heisman, national title. Listen, about as much hype as a rookie quarterback can carry into a building. Remember, this room is remade. It already has a 4-time Pro Bowler at the position in quarterback in Kirk Cousins. And look, my read on Fernando Mendoza, this hasn't changed. Cousins opens the season. Mendoza's real debut, if it happens this year, real distinct possibility, lands somewhere around week 7 or week 8. I said this a couple weeks ago on the show. I wrote about it up on silverandblacktoday.com. Is also Sportsnaut. It's powered by Sportsnaut. But around week 7, week 8, not week 1. But here's what camp actually tells us. And it's much narrower, than the hype. Because the hype's going to be out there. You're going to see it all over the place. And the question is going to be, can he operate against a real front 7? The rubber hits the road now. With the 1s and the 2s rotating through, that's an entirely different question than whether he looks good in a July shorts practice. Put the pads on, get against those 1s and 2s, and suddenly we'll see it. Now, the second part, which I think matters more, does the answer change how much patience Klint Kubiak can afford? Because if Cousins has a rough stretch in September, or God forbid, knock on wood, gets injured, the length of that leash for Fernando Mendoza gets decided in the next few weeks, not in September, right? Because Kubiak's going to see how ready or not he is. So that's the Fernando Mendoza piece. And I think that that's part of what you're going to see as they roll into camp. Not this first week when it's just rookies, but clearly when they get in against the vets and they start playing real football, put some pads on, play against that front 7 and so on. Now, let's get to the second player I want to talk about. Now, here's the one I'd argue has the cleanest shot at snaps on this team that count. Treydan Stukes, the safety out of Arizona, 2nd round, 38th overall. Hey, and that pick surprised some people. It surprised me. Some of you out there were actually dead on calling it. And many of the analysts actually didn't call him going to the Raiders, but really were high on the kid. Because he played Remember, because he played mostly corner in college. 4 interceptions last season, 10 pass breakups in 10 games. And Stukes was first team All Big 12, second team All American. And the number I keep coming back to, and this blew my mind, I had to reread this, because I didn't know. I'm not a tape guy. I don't spend hours upon hours analyzing. There's great people out there who do it. That's just not what I do, as you guys know. When quarterbacks threw at him, they posted a 34.4 passer rating. 34. That's not a coverage grade. That's a deterrent. That's what I call a deterrent. You want to talk about defense. So, again, these are numbers on paper. They mean nothing going into the NFL per se, but it shows you the kid has talent to get to the ball. And here's why I'm telling you why this matters. Why it matters so much. Isaiah Palomao allowed a 70% completion rate on 559 coverage snaps last year. So that's the opening for Stukes. Free safety on this defense was arguably this team's biggest hole going into the draft. I know quarterback, I get it. But you knew they were going to take care of that. And they used a second rounder on a guy in Stukes whose ball skills are absolutely the best part of his game. And again, in the NFL, that's why I'm not as concerned and I'm excited about him because, yes, he played corner. But when you have that skill and that ability to get to the ball skills you don't teach, I don't think. The rest of it they can teach. With Rob Leonard's staff, the guys, the talented staff they have this season for the Raiders, that's what you want. They saw in him enough. That's why they took him in the second round. Okay? Now, here's what I'll say. The one caveat, Stukes played 39 career snaps at true free safety. 39. Everything else he did was slot, outside, in the box. So camp is where you find out whether the range translates to that back end. Okay, so that's the big question going into camp. That's why he's on my list. Because if he can play there and we see him adapt quickly, it's going to take some time. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying after 3 days, even with the vets in camp, after 3 days, they're going to crown this kid the new free safety. I'm not saying that, but you got to see if it's going to relate to the back end. Does it translate there? Now, the third name I want to get into here is another one. The third name, Mike Washington Jr., the 4th round pick out of Arkansas. And the Raiders traded up to get him. Don't forget this, just in case you forgot the draft. The Raiders sent, it was pick 134. Let me look this up. And 208 to Atlanta. They sent it to the Falcons to move up to 122. And the numbers pop off the paper. And I know it's just a combine, but listen, he ran a 4.33 at the combine. It was the fastest of any running back in the class. Top 10 among everybody who tested. Everybody. Wow. He's 6'1", 223 with a 39-inch vertical. Now, I only have a 36-inch vertical. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe a 6-inch vertical. But nonetheless, this kid is an athlete. He is a monster. But the tape's better than the testing, folks. 1,070 yards last year at Arkansas. 6.4 yards a carry, second in the SEC, 9th in the country. Right? And 515 of those yards came on breakaway runs 15 yards or more. So, Mr. Washington has the afterburners, folks. Like an F4 Phantom, just turning that thing out and you hear the boom and it's gone. That makes you salivate if you're a Raiders fan, right? As a football fan, as a compliment to Ashton Genty, yes. Now, here's why I'm watching him. Because if you look and you listen, Kubiak wants a real two-back rotation. He wants reps off Ashton Genty. Keep him fresh, keep him healthy. And Washington is that notable addition to this room this offseason. The guy they moved up the board for. And that's important because when somebody moves up the board like that, that tells you the scouting staff, John Spytek, Klint Kubiak, these guys believe this kid can have an impact fast. And maybe he becomes the best fourth-round pick since Maxx Crosby. You don't always hit in the fourth round. Of course, Maxx Crosby, just a grand slam in the fourth round. Now, whether that turns into a real role by week 1 or whether it fades once the pads come on, we don't know. That's the open question. And you don't answer it in shorts, right? You don't answer it in shorts and helmets, running around, getting in shape. No. You answer it with live reps against Raiders starters, right? Now, those are the 3 guys at the top of my list. Doesn't mean I'm not watching other guys, just like you. But of all the rookies that can have a major impact on this team this year, to me, these are the top 3. There's other stories out there written by folks I respect, other folks, and you'll see stuff I've written about on SportsNot, Silver and Black today, of course, powered by SportsNot on the written side. You'll see others, but to me, these are the 3. This is where I come down on it. What do you think? Leave your comments, leave your calls, leave your videos, let me know. But again, as excited as everybody is for camp, nothing that I'm talking about, none of this gets settled this week. That's not what this week is for. What camp does, as you guys know, is start separating the players who look good in shorts from the guys who hold up when Crosby, when that defensive front start teeing off. Okay? And again, Mendoza gets the headlines because of the draft slot. He was number 1 overall. Fine. That's how it works. But Stukes, to me, might be the one that actually has a chance to start week 1. And Washington could end up mattering more to this offense than either of them by October. That's how much I think this kid could make a difference, especially looking at that Kubiak system. So there you have it. 3 names. Camp begins today. Woo! Put them on your list. All right. Now, let's get to our first caller. For those of you who've listened to the show for a long time, you'll be familiar with our next caller. For those of you new to it, let me tell you about Pastor Mike behind bars. He's doing God's work, prison ministry. Very, very important to get in there and talk to those guys. And I'll tell you what, he's a great caller, and I'm excited to share that with you. So here he is, Pastor Mike behind the bars. Let's see what he has to say here on the Raider Nation Court of Public Opinion, Silver and Black today.
Scott, Pastor Mike behind bars. Man, I am so glad you're back. That's the greatest news I heard when I heard you're going to come back. Appreciate you very much. And, okay, let's start with Mendoza. I think he should sit unless he outright beats Kirk Cousins out of the job in camp, then I think he absolutely should sit. And you know, we don't have to bring him on so quickly. I just don't agree. I saw Doug Peterson saying, start him week 1. You know, but who's Doug Peterson coach for now? That doesn't even make sense. So, yeah, I agree with you there. Wide receiver room is a complete mystery. But what I do think is that because they haven't really gone out and tried to sign a veteran like Diggs, thank God they haven't, or somebody else like that. I'm just going to put my trust in this staff because I think last year was so bad that it's really kind of hard to tell. Kurt, you got Chip Kelly calling the wrong plays, and all this other stuff that was going on. Really kind of hard to tell what that wide receiver room is going to be like. So I'm a wait-and-see kind of guy. Now, lastly, it's funny in your last post that you mentioned that you look like Billy Bob Thornton because I had you up on my computer screen, had a couple inmates in my office, and they said, "Hey, are you listening to Billy Bob Thornton?" I thought that was hilarious.
Oh my God.
So, I mean, I don't necessarily see the resemblance, but I will say this. Never see you and him at the party together, so you never know. All right, man. I'm out. We'll talk to you soon. Raiders.
All right, there you go. Pastor Mike behind bars. Yeah, the Billy Bob Thornton thing, by the way, that's not me thinking that. I keep getting comments from you guys out there telling me there's some resemblance. I just don't see it other than, I don't know, because I lost weight. I lost 60 pounds. And I have a goatee. I don't know. I don't wear the weird hats and the headdresses and all that kind of stuff. I'm a huge Landman fan. And I like the fact that he plays his music. Not a massive fan of his music, but the fact that prisoners think I look like him, that scares me a little bit. No. But Pastor Mike, always a great guy. I appreciate that. And yeah, I think you're right. Fernando Mendoza. Most of Raider Nation, at least those that I hear from, they agree. They want to see him play at some point maybe this year, depending on how the season goes. And look, we've talked about it. I had the schedule up there on the screen if you're watching. Raiders' schedule is brutal, especially that first 6 weeks, man. So this team could fall out of contention pretty quickly. Not because they're not better. I want to make that clear. This will be a much better football team talent-wise. We talked this week about how great that linebacking core can be with Dean and Walker. We talked about the exciting rookies. We talked about the quarterback situation. We talked about the coaching staff. So this team's going to be much better than what you guys watched last year. I got no question about that. But stacked against that schedule and how the other teams work out, it's going to be tough. So you could see Mendoza eventually. But I'm with Pastor Mike and I just haven't changed my mind. Now, if Kirk Cousins goes out there and stinks it up, I still think you're conservative with playing Mendoza because you got Aiden O'Connell there. Unless they trade him or do something before the season start, which is a possibility, then maybe Mendoza. But I would go to O'Connell before I'd go to Mendoza. Again, let him sit there. I know he talked about Peterson. There's other guys out there, Herm Edwards, other people saying, no, start him right now. Now he needs to start week one. There's a reason those guys aren't coaching anymore. May I add. Not saying there's not some good dudes there and they know their football, but it's easy when you're opining on a national network about that when you don't have to make the decision or live with the consequences. So, Pastor Mike, I appreciate the call as always. And make sure you call into 702-900-7869 if you want to get on. We certainly appreciate it. All right, now let's go out on the interwebs and check out Darkside Nation by Jedediah. There we go. This was left on our YouTube page. And Darkside says, my only concern, this is talking about the linebacker core. If you didn't read my story or listen to the show on Tuesday, I talked at length about this. This was my verdict from this week. My laying out why I think it's the best linebacking core since 2002. And here's what Darkside Nation by Jedediah says. He says, my only concern is Nakobe Dean hasn't been healthy a full season since his rookie year. True. And yes, we have Lindenberg and Eichenberg, but they're not his caliber. And Quay Walker is going to show up for us, but health is the worry. That's Darkside Nation by Jedediah on YouTube. And Darkside, yes. And listen, this is what I said during the show on Tuesday and in some of my written work on Silver and Black Today, powered by Sportsnaut. And that is health is everything, right? The biggest, you got to be available. The biggest thing you can contribute is that availability. You got to be healthy. And with Dean and Walker, is there some questions? Yes, Dean, we saw that patellar tendon, missing games at the end of the year with hamstring. And that's absolutely true. That was part of the counter argument I made on Tuesday. But I will say this. Now I know we're in preseason. We're just rolling into camp today. So we're in the if stage. If these guys stay healthy, that was my point. If these guys stay healthy, and if you remember, I gave you the tells. I said, if I'm right about how good this linebacking core can be, these guys by week 9, right? More than halfway through the season, about halfway through the season, will have played together on the field for 80% of the defensive snaps. If they don't, if it's 50%, if it's 40% because of that injury issue or because they can't stay healthy, then there's no way they're going to be as good as the group from 2002, right? So, Darkside Jedediah, you're absolutely correct. And I said this as much as well. But the potential is there, just like the potential for Fernando Mendoza, just like the potential of Mike Washington Jr., just like the potential of Treydan Stukes, the potential of Brock Bowers, although he's proved it more in the NFL as being one of the best guys there is. So anyway, yeah, that is absolutely true, and I certainly appreciate your comment from YouTube based on the video and the podcast from Tuesday. All right, let's get on to the next one here on the Raider Nation Court of Public Opinion on Silver and Black today. This comes from X. Call it a tweet, whatever you want. You can't call it an X, right? It's from X, but we still call them tweets. Dennis McConnell at Dennis McConnell 7, based on the story I did on the wide receiver room, which was syndicated over on Yahoo Sports, says fair assessment on the wide receiver room. This is where I said that the Raiders lack any true proven receiver to be the guy, right? To take the pressure off in that system that Kubiak has, where you have those constructed completions. And it's a worry. Yes, you have Brock Bowers. I get it. And even somebody brought up Michael Mayer, which he does here. But anyway, here's what he says. Fair assessment on the wide receiver room. I don't recall hearing Michael Mayer's name. I believe we'll see lots of 12 personnel with Bowers in the slot likely, so Mayer will be a key on third down. But as you said, lots of ifs and no history of it yet. But like the possibilities much more than before. That's Dennis McConnell 7 at Dennis McConnell 7 on X.com. And Dennis, you're right. And I wrote a piece on Michael Mayer as well, which you can find up on Sportsnot, talking about what this is a big year for him, right? Because he had the trouble, he had the personal issues, he was gone, then he's not been able to stay healthy. He wasn't used properly by the previous staff. And yes, 12 personnel will be a big part of this offense. So yeah, I didn't forget about Michael Mayer because I wrote about him back in May. But I do think that, yes, if him and Bowers are there, but you still, it doesn't take away from the point that you still have to have the wide receivers who can separate. Again, I'm not saying you need Justin Jefferson. It would be nice. You don't need him. You just need guys who can separate and have yards after the catch. That's the key. That's what happened last year in Seattle and led them to a Super Bowl, right? So that's the point of it. Doesn't mean you have to have a superstar number one. But you have to have at least 2, possibly 3 wide receivers who can at least do that. They can separate, get yards after the catch. Then that frees up Bowers. That could free up Mayer. That frees up the running game because they can't stack the box. So yes, Dennis, I appreciate the comment and a good one, and a discussion I know will continue as we move on here in the Raider Nation Court of Public Opinion, with your calls, your comments, your posts to the show. Don't forget 702-900-7869 to get a voice on. All right. Now, this one comes from YouTube as well, from XYNXYL on YouTube. And here's what he has to say. He says, one guy is always hurt. The other is either making splash plays or whiffing. This is what he said about Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker. I want the Raiders linebacker room to be great, as bad as the next guy, but these two haven't really shown anything in their entirety of their careers that shows they're going to be consistent answers for the Raiders. What? I'm keeping my fingers crossed for 27 that this position gets some attention for long-term stability. That's a fair point. We can hope for the best and root for these guys to have a great season, but they have tape out there, and I doubt they will both just up and completely changed just because they put on the silver and black. Now, I don't know what to say to this because I made the case on Tuesday, right? And thanks for your comment, man. I appreciate it. Let me add, because I disagree or I have points that I don't agree with doesn't mean I'm dismissing you or I don't respect you. I respect the comment. I do. These two really haven't shown anything in the entirety of their careers. I don't understand that comment. Quay Walker led the Packers in tackles every year he was there. Nakobe Dean was the green dot in a Super Bowl. Okay? These guys have proven. Now, Dean, fair criticism with the injuries. He's had a little bit of trouble there. But when he's played, he's been excellent. And with Walker, he's one of the best blitzing linebackers in the NFL. So I'm not sure why you don't think these guys have proven anything. Maybe you can call in 702-900-7869 or send me a video, man. mail@silverandblacktoday.com and explain yourself, because I just don't understand your logic there, because they have done something. I mean, when you lead your team as the starting Mike to the Super Bowl and you're the guy calling the plays, you're going to tell me he hasn't accomplished anything? And again, fair criticism with the injuries. And then Quay Walker, as Rob Leonard called him a, quote, avatar. Now, I know it's coming from a coach. What's the coach going to say? Oh, we have some question marks about the guy we just signed. No. But he's one of the best blitzing linebackers in the NFL. He runs sideline to sideline. Dean is the guy in the middle making the calls. And you're right. They got to prove it, my man. They got to prove it on the field in the silver and black. But to say that they haven't proven it yet as professionals, I just don't think it's true. And they did it in college together. I know college is college, but they won a national championship together. These guys communicate well together. And remember, I made the point. The dynamic of them playing together, wanting to play together, signing together is another key why I think they're gonna have extra motivation past what you normally would as a professional football player. So there you go. All right, man. Thanks for the comment. Now we go back out onto X. Paul Raider 41. Great to see you back, Scott. Simple comment. I know you're like, oh, where's the football talk? No, but I just wanted to use this one. And again, thank you, Paul Raider 41. Excuse me, this is from YouTube. My bad. Paul Raider 41 on YouTube says, great to see you back, Scott. I appreciate that very much. And I got to say, as I said in the first show back, as we joined the Believe Network, I really, after we ended the show in the spring, Mo and I really didn't have any intention of coming back. I had a bunch of other things working, a bunch of other things happening. And so I was fine to step away, still writing about the Raiders for SportsNot and still doing radio shows across the country talking about the Raiders. But I wasn't going to do a regular podcast and show. And then the people from Believe approached me, and then the excitement around this team after covering the team for the last 9 seasons, it drew me back in. It just did. And so, yeah, the show is different. I'm doing it solo now. That just is what it is. It wasn't anything. There was no disagreement with Mo and I or any of that stuff. Mo's got his own things working. So proud of what he's done and what he's going to do. He's got his Bleacher Report Lives, which I highly recommend that you watch. So I'm glad to be back, and I appreciate it. I know some of our listeners and viewers probably don't realize that we're back yet, and that's okay. So we're starting from the ground level here with Believe and going back to the YouTube and doing all that stuff. Doing a lot more short videos, as I'm sure you've seen if you're following us in socials, which I expect that you need to do, right? I expect you to do that. Go follow us everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, lots of YouTube shorts, you name it. So anyway, but thank you, Paul Raider 41, for the warm welcome back. It's great to be back, and I'm excited about covering the Raiders this season. Okay. Now we get to our next post, and this one also comes from YouTube. A lot of active YouTube commenters this week, which is cool. Appreciate that. And this is on Dante Thornton Jr.'s future. We did a short on this one on the socials, but I also wrote about it during the summer as well, about Dante Thornton has a lot to prove this year. And also in my wide receiver piece a few days ago and on the show last week, I talked about Dante Thornton Jr.'s drop problem, 17%, and the fact that even though he had a bunch of snaps, he just really didn't separate, didn't do much. And this comes from Las Vegas Ranger on YouTube. He says, hey, I watched every game. He never really broke away from any defender. He's fast on the track. He doesn't have the moves or route running to separate himself from an NFL secondary. Lad McConkey is not as fast, but somehow is always open. That's Las Vegas Ranger on YouTube. And yes, that's true. Broke away from defenders, not a lot of separation there. And that was my point. In the Kubiak offense, you got to have separation. Separation. Okay. Excuse me. And route running and all of that. So I had some people disagree with me on this. And I also find people like to make excuses for players. Now, injuries, we talk about Brock Bowers not being elite last year, but being very good. And again, still believe he can be and probably will be the best tight end in football. But he didn't have an elite year last year. Well, he was injured and he had crappy quarterbacks. Yes, that's all true. But you got to be available, right? He was injured. Now, injuries, it's not like a player's responsible for their injury. I'm not saying that, but it just is what it is. I'm going on last year. He's coming off an injury that hampered him, no question. And then when you look at Thornton Jr. as well, he didn't have anybody to throw to him. That has nothing to do with drop rate. Drop rate is calculated balls that should be caught, balls that are in your hands. So that negates your points out there about, Geno Smith sucked. Yeah, he did. But when the ball was there, Thornton Jr. dropped them 17% of the time. League average is 4 to 5%. Problem. Bing, bing, bing. So that argument doesn't hold water. That does not mean that Dante Thornton Jr. can come out and prove me wrong. I hope he does. But as Las Vegas Rangers said, he didn't really show any of that last year. That's what I'm basing. You can't base it off anything but what you've seen. And just because you have a better quarterback in the 4-time Pro Bowler Kirk Cousins, just because you have a better quarterback doesn't mean he's not going to drop balls. It doesn't mean when you have a better quarterback that you separate from the defender faster. Just doesn't mean that. So there you go. But that, and again, I'm passionate about that because, again, prove me wrong. I'm fine with that. I'd love to be wrong about Dante Thornton Jr., but he hasn't shown it. And that was my point. My point wasn't that the kid can't ever do it, but I was evaluating what they have done. Trey Tucker, him. Last year is what it is. You can't make excuses for players dropping balls because of the quarterback. The ball was there. So there you have it. I'm riding that horse to the barn. All right. Now, I want you guys to be part of the show next week. Make sure you join the Voice of Raider Nation, the Raider Nation Court of Public Opinion here on Silver and Black Today and the Believe Network. Call us on the phone. I know nobody calls anymore. It's all text messages and stuff. But anyway, you could do it. Leave me a message just like you heard Pastor Mike behind bars do so. You can do so in the free world, not behind bars, by calling 702-900-7869. That's 702-900-7869. Now, email your video takes to me. Come on, email. Somebody be brave enough out there to send me an email. Horizontal, vertical, whatever you want to send. To do that, just take it on your phone, email it to mail@silverandblacktoday.com. That's mail@silverandblacktoday.com. Your takes for our weekly podcast here on the Raider Nation Court of Public Opinion on Silver and Black Today. Do it, okay? Or, as I said before, you can also leave your message up on X. You can leave it on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, as we get a lot of YouTube, because a lot of folks watching the show on YouTube. Always love that. And, of course, if you're listening, you can comment on Spotify. There's other places you can comment as well. So just do it. I'll find them. I find them. I listen to you guys. I engage. Even with you snapperheads. If you don't know what snapperheads are, I'll educate you on that at a different time. But nonetheless, that's what you can do, right? All right, it's time for actual football. Well, at least getting ready for actual football. Are you excited? Look, there's a palpable, yes, I'm bringing out the big words now, palpable level of excitement with this team. They will have times, as I said earlier, when they will struggle. But it finally feels real. Like this team is at least organized, on an organized track towards respectability and actually building the right way. Not everything or everyone, it's a key point with these players in this roster, will work out. That's life in the NFL. But there are some really good pieces, some good veteran talent, and some exciting rookies with great potential. And to me, that's just, that builds a level of excitement, even somebody covering the team objectively. That makes camp even more exciting than usual in my book. Now, I need to ask you another big favor. If you're listening to us on the Believe Network on the audio side, again, please subscribe to the show wherever you get your audio. Turn on that auto download, easy, and you won't miss a new episode when it drops. For our good folks who I mix it up with when the videos are premiering, I'm in there in the chat talking with all of you. For our viewers on YouTube and other spots, don't forget to subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and hit that notifications bell so you know when we go live or have a new video. That includes our shorts, full shows, and more coming soon. Also, drop your comments too, and we'll include them in the show, just like this. Get off your butt. Call in and tell me who you are watching camp. 702-900-7869 is the number. Better yet, send me a video for the show by emailing it to mail@silverandblacktoday.com. You got that all now? I mean, I've reminded you several times, so please do so. It's go time, Raider Nation. I can't wait to talk to you this season and see where this team goes, right? We don't know where it's going to go. We're excited. There's going to be highs. There's going to be lows, disappointments, games they should have won, games they should have lost, and so on and so forth. That's the excitement of the NFL season. All I know is football's back, baby. And we're ready for it, right? And I'm ready for you, and I appreciate you being here with Silver and Black today. Until next time, be good to one another, and thank you again for being with me. Have a great weekend, everybody.